Shalom to the nation of Israel, to the elect of the nation of Israel. I'd like to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakwadash, double honor to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone. Salutations to the hopeful elect, beginning with the 144,000. Lord willing, this lesson be edifying. And I will entitle this, Jake is not as tough as they appear. And this is from inspired of this video I was watching, which was put up a day ago by Elder Apostle Gabar. These speak evil of the things they don't understand. And this was this video that the apostle put up was inspired by video that the South Carolina elder put up. What was it? I'm trying to find the name of it, Salaki. Hold up. The GMS cowards deflection tactic, right? So
I was sitting here.
Right. As the elder Apostle Gabar said, he was, waiting for the spirit to hit him to do a lesson. He was watching that video of the elder of South Carolina, GMS South Carolina, which inspired him to do this video. These speak evil of the things they don't understand. The same thing with me, this video inspired, like a domino effect. Which, like I said, the title of this lesson will be Jake is not as tough as they appear. Right? And I was about 32 minutes into watching it, and I started putting some precepts, some scriptures came to mind. And like I said, Lord willing, this lesson be edifying. I have here this picture, which is what you call a paper tiger. What you call a paper tiger, which is what Jake, Jake is, appearing to be tough, but not being as tough as they appear. Right? And which is the same as pump faking, which is a move to help you, a tactic used on a basketball court to help you score points, to help you win in the game. You act like you about to take a shot, so your opponent will be psyched out into jumping, and then if you time it right, now you have a much better chance of making a shot without your vision being obstructed, or without the opponent being able to block or block the shot, or block your vision of to make the shot. Right? You apply that to real life. Jake pump fakes all the time, in the face of danger, to win a battle. A lot of times it'll be out of fear. A car with 5% tinted windows, especially, like some type of fast car, like a Hellcat, or some type of fast car, right? This the mentality of being in the hood, right? Pull up with 5% tints, limousine tints. You can't see inside of the car, especially if the car done circled the block more than once. Jake is so prone and vulnerable to violence in the hood that when you see something like this, you know, and you being circumspect, you being on point, you're not trying to get caught slipping, right? What, you know, one of the tactics Jake would use, you know, they might not have an actual weapon on them. They might not even be a tough guy. Probably won't even probably never even shot a pistol off a day in their life. But in the face of danger, in the face of fear, a fearful situation, they fearing for their life, you know, they would act like they got a weapon on them. They act like they got a weapon on them. That's called pump faking, right? The nigga Fabulous, he said, no more jab steps. Those is fake moves. You know, pump faking and jab steps, you know, is tactics used on a basketball court to help you beat your opponent or psych your opponent out to help you score. You know, and you know, Jake, that's a tactic of survival in the hood. Which is basically the art of bluffing, right? Which can get you a long way, right? It can take you a long way, but if you misjudge a situation, right? Because those tactics Jake tends to take those tactics and become a bully with pump faking or bluffing, right? Which in the hood we call it in the hood they call it selling wolf tickets, you know, which a lot of people got into a lot of situations injured or killed from selling wolf tickets, you know, appearing, you know, trying to present themselves to be more tough than they actually are. You know, that only works well, it doesn't work. You know, it's ineffective when you meet someone who's actually tough and willing to test and challenge you to see if you really as tough as you presenting yourself to be. And a lot of people get hurt. A lot of people have gotten hurt, right? Because, you know, men, they do that a lot. Especially when they with women or when they running with a crowd, a group, you know, which, you know, this world promotes, you know, to be in gangs, to running crowds, you know, partially our people do that seeking for validation, you know, looking to be accepted, you know, by looking to be accepted in their community, looking to be accepted amongst you know, other people. So anyways, without dragging this out, right? Like I said, I have here a picture of a paper tiger, right? And the reason for that is because this is Wikipedia, paper tiger, right? Paper tiger is a calque, I'm not sure how to pronounce that word, of the Chinese phrase Xiaohu, whatever, simplified Chinese, traditional Chinese, whatever. It says the term refers to something or someone that claims or appears to be powerful or threatening, but is actually ineffectual and unable to withstand challenge, right? Just like a scarecrow, right? And here's a picture of some like propaganda used by Moab, the Chinese, against America, right? It says a paper tiger with a U.S. flag symbolizing the United States, right? In August 1950, right? And so basically, the Chinese, being the opposition, being enemy of the U.S., right? Labeled or called the U.S. a paper tiger, which, you know, ultimately in the presence of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shah, when Yahweh Shah makes his second return, ultimately, in the day of the Lord's judgment, America, as tough as they present themselves to be, will be nothing more than a paper tiger, right? And like it says, ineffectual and unable to withstand challenge, right? They will not effectively be able to be a challenge, right? Or withstand the challenge of the spirit of power, Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shah, once Yahweh Shah makes his second return in the day of the Lord's judgment, along with the nuclear destruction and the innumerable amount of chariots, the vehicles in which the angels traveling, that will add fuel to the fire of the Lord's fiery destruction in the day of his judgment. So this world promotes, what the scripture said, the pride of thine heart hath deceived thee, talking about Esau, Edom. The nation, scripture also says, the earth is given into the hands of the wicked, which is the nation of the Edomites, right? The nation of so-called white man, the devil in the flesh. And so the whole earth is under the vibration of the wicked, right? And the most prideful nation on the face of the earth, which in America is the headquarters, the bullseye of the target of destruction of the Lord, and the headquarters of wickedness on the face of the earth. And Jakes in America, which will be proven to be 2/3, are under the vibration, are under the spell, drunk off the Babylon juice that America pushes, right? And looks to push more across the four corners of the earth. So the spirit of our people under the vibration of Esau, Edom, is prideful, right? To the point of them being deceived, as thinking they're protected, thinking that they're tough. So, right, selling wolf tickets, meaning selling wolf tickets is an African American vernacular phrase that means to make empty threats or boasts, especially to intimidate someone. It can also refer to a hyped up promotion or sales pitch for a product or event that doesn't live up to expectations, right? And so explanation, the phrase originated in prison slang. It's often used in the phrases sell wolf tickets and right, going back to my point, Jakes make up most of the population in prisons, right? America is the number one country as far as imprisonment. Jake is the number one nation that's in prison in America. Ever since we've been dragged over here by cargo slave ships, ever since Gad was the nation of Israel was deceived and conquered over here on the soils of America, we've been slaves to this country. So, which is, prisoners. We've been prisoners. We're behind enemy lines still. It says the phrase originated in prison slang. It's often used in the phrases sell wolf tickets and buy wolf tickets. Buy wolf tickets meaning to call someone's bluff or respond to their threats or boasts, right? Which is what the Lord is going to do to everyone selling wolf tickets and thinking that they will not have to be judged in the day of the Lord's judgment. So, right, going back to what the elder apostle was bringing out, and the elder GMS South Carolina was bringing out, right? I think it's Sakari. I think it was the Israelite camp Sakari, who or anyone, any camp, any person, using this tactic, of deflection, saying that GMS is cowards, right? Is selling wolf tickets, pump faking, right? And a paper tiger, ultimately, right? And not being spiritual. The Lord's not dealing with them, right? And it shows through weak tactics, such as labeling, trying to put the label of GMS being cowards. It's like I'm trying to keep my thoughts together, but because what? Back to the name of the title of this lesson: Jake is not as tough as they appear, right? And I'm gonna prove that by I'm gonna start here, right? With scriptures. This is Romans chapter 8, verse 6. It says, "For to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace." Right? So, Jake, when Jake being short for Jacob, which is our forefather that birthed the nation of the Israelites, Jacob's name was changed to Israel, birthed the 12 tribes of Israel, the nation of the Israelites, right? The nature of Jake, of you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, when you do your research on our forefathers, is to be spiritually minded, and not carnally minded. And so if any one of our nation is presenting themselves to be tough, that's carnally minded, and it's ultimately going to prove yourself to be a 2/3, and you're going to be judged and destroyed, for being in the wrong mindset, for being in the wrong spirit, for being in the spirit and mindset of carnality rather than spirituality. For to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace, right? And going back to Jacob and Esau being a twin brother of Jacob, right? Jacob is going to the nation of Israel, because of our forefathers and the will of the Heavenly Father, Yahweh the Most High, will inherit possession of the earth forever and ever. The kingdom of heaven will be established, and the nation of Israel will be the rulers of the kingdom of heaven, right? Which is the ultimate state of life and peace, right? And the kingdom of heaven is the total opposite of this world that we live in, which is Esau, Edom's kingdom, or version of heaven on earth, which is really hell, right? It's carnal, it's full of confusion, full of darkness, full of violence, full of death. Versus the kingdom of heaven, there won't be any more wars. There won't be any more wars. Violence will not rule the earth. Confusion will not rule the earth. Unrighteousness will not rule the earth. Wickedness will be totally conquered and ruled over by righteousness. So, that's the first thing, right? Okay, so where I want to go from there, Salakia, let me get my my thoughts together, right? Okay. I'm gonna go to Deuteronomy. Salakia. This is Deuteronomy chapter 7. This is Deuteronomy chapter 7 and 7 and 6. It says, "For thou art an holy people." Holy meaning separate, right? The Lord created our nation out of all of the nations that the Lord created out of all men, out of all, because the Lord didn't create all nations, all people, all humans to be just one people, and he didn't create things to be like that. He's a God of order and structure, and he set up a hierarchy, and at the top of the hierarchy, the top of the food chain amongst men is the nation of Israel. We have different ways, right? We were made to be separate and totally different from the rest of these nations. "For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God have chosen thee to be a special people unto himself above all people that are upon the face of the earth. The Lord did not set his love upon you, nor choose you, because ye were more in number than any people, for ye were the fewest of all people." Right? And so, when it comes to, before the Lord chose us and set us up as a nation, he didn't do that because we had more numbers, which the more numbers you have, the more, as a nation, the more, carnally, you would think that that would give you the advantage over a nation with fewer numbers, because you have more bodies to go to war, right? So the Lord didn't choose our nation because we were more stronger as far as numbers, but we were weaker, right? This is Deuteronomy 9. This is Deuteronomy chapter 9, verse 1. It says, "Hear, O Israel, thou art to pass over Jordan this day to go in to possess nations greater and mightier than thyself, cities great and fenced up to heaven, a people great and tall, the children of the Anakims, whom thou knowest, and of whom thou hast heard say, who can stand before the children of Anak? Understand therefore this day that the Lord thy power is he, whose name is Yahweh, which goeth over before thee as a consuming fire. He shall destroy them, and he shall bring them down before thy face. So shalt thou drive them out and destroy them quickly, as the Lord hath said unto thee." Right? So, the point being what? That the only thing that makes us tough is that we have the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Shai dealing with us, right? That's our power source. So the only way we are tough is when we are connected with our power source. Other than that, we are not the strongest and most powerful, the strongest and most powerful nation on the face of the earth without Yahweh Shem Shai. All right, and the Lord did that to show forth his power. He chose the nation that was weakest and smallest in number, right? But the way that he created us spiritually is what makes us special. So it's something to remember. Now, where do I want to go from there? Genesis, right? Going back to our forefather Abraham. Genesis 12. This is Genesis 12. Now, just in case you don't know, the nation of, right, Abraham, he had a son named Isaac, right? And Isaac had a son named Jacob, right? And this is the progenitors of the nation of Israel. This is how the nation of Israel came about, right? And that's why you often see Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the scriptures when referring to the nation of Israel, because that's the bloodline, that's the beginning of the bloodline and lineage, right? As far as the covenants and promises made to the seed of covenant and promises made with Abraham that will be passed to his seeds, right? So anyways, Abraham, right? At this time, his name is still Abram. It says, Genesis 12:1, now the Lord had said unto Abram, get thee out of thy country and from thy kindred and from thy father's house unto a land that I will show thee. This was before we were, the nation of Israel existed. This is before we took over the land of Canaan. That was the reason why we took over the land of Canaan, and we conquered those nations that were mightier than us in the land of Canaan, is because it was a promise that the Lord had made to our forefathers, beginning with Abraham, right? Right. So it says, now the Lord has said unto Abram, get thee out of thy country, right? And part of the promise and covenant was that he would set us in a land, that for us to possess forever. Get thee out of thy country and from thy kindred and from thy father's house unto a land that I will show thee. Verse 2, and I will make of thee a great nation, and I will bless thee and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. So we weren't great. We weren't even a nation until the Lord started dealing with our ancestors, our forefathers. Verse 3, and I will bless them that bless thee, and curse him that curseth thee. And this is the reason why the Lord is going to destroy all these nations that have came up against our nation, the nation of Israel, so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native American Indians, because the Lord keeps his promises. Since all these nations came up against us and made us enemies of them, made us their enemies, right? The Lord is going to destroy each and every last one of them and curse them, right? It says, and curse him that curseth thee, and in thee shall all families of the earth be blessed, right? How is all of the nations, how is all of the families of the earth going to be blessed? Because when the kingdom of heaven is established, when Yahushua makes his second return, it will be a world of righteousness, perfect rulership, a world of justice, right? A rulership of perfect justice, of righteousness, right? We will rule over all the other nations with the law, statutes, and commandments perfectly. And therefore there will be no need for wars. After the 1,000-year period, hardcore slavery term of these heathen nations. Esau's going, the nation of Edom, the nation of so-called white man, is going to be burnt up, exterminated off the first face of the earth. And the rest of the nations, they're going to be able to coexist under the nation of Israel. And they're going to be happy. They're going to be satisfied. They're going to be able to enjoy life much more than they are able to enjoy life now. They're never going to reach the heights. They're never going to be as successful as the nation of Israel, but they are going to be good. Verse 4, it says, so Abram departed as the Lord had spoken unto him, and Lot went with him. And Abram was 75 years old when he departed out of Haran. And Abram took Sarai, whose name was changed to Sarah, right? His wife, and Lot his brother's son, and all their substance that they had gathered, in the souls that they had gotten in Haran, and they went forth to go into the land of Canaan. And into the land of Canaan they came. Now I want to jump down. Okay, Genesis 12 and 10. It says, and there was a famine in the land, and Abram went down into Egypt to sojourn there, for the famine was grievous in the land. And it came to pass, when he was come near to enter into Egypt, that he said unto Sarai his wife, behold, now I know that thou art a fair woman to look upon. Therefore it shall come to pass, when the Egyptians shall see thee, that they shall say, this is his wife, and they will kill me, but they will save thee alive. Say, verse 13, say, I pray thee, thou art my sister, that it may be well with me for thy sake, and my soul shall live because of thee. Right? And so that's enough. You can read the story for yourself, right? But I brought this out because to prove, right, this Abraham, which his name was Abram at the time, would be considered a coward for doing this, right? Especially in these days and times that we live in now. You know, the Israelite woman, right? You know, she would you know, if you ask the Israelite woman to do some shit like this now, you know, if you get her to do it without bucking up at you and calling you all types of bitch ass niggas, you know, if she does it because she she, you know, she may notice that it, you know, she may realize that, you know, that it is best, you know, that they do that. She might throw that shit in your face later on, and you know, call you all types of bitch niggas and cowards later on, and you might have to worry about her stepping out on you for doing some shit like this, right? Asking her to say that she's your sister and deny that she's your wife, so that you know, you won't get into an altercation with anybody, right? But this was the nature, right, of our forefather Abraham. This is where our bloodline comes from. Of all you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, right? This is in our genetics. So what? Back to my title, right? Jake is not as tough as they appear when you have understanding, right? Genesis chapter 14, right? Salakia. This is Genesis 14. It says War of the Kings. Hold on. don't want to read all this. Genesis 14:14, it says, and when Abram heard that his brother was taken captive, he armed his trained servants, born in his own house, 318, and pursued them unto Dan. And he divided himself against them, he and his servants by night, and smote them, and pursued them unto Hobah, which is on the left hand of Damascus. And he brought back all the goods, and also brought again his brother Lot and his goods, and the woman also, and the people. So you can read the account for yourself, but this was an account when Abram, right? And this was after. This was after. Matter of fact, I gotta go back. This was after Abram, whose name was changed to Abraham, did that. Made his wife say that she was his sister. It was out of wisdom. He wasn't a coward. It was out of wisdom. If he was such a coward, then he would never go to war, right? He would have never went to war and went to save his cousin, right? Lot. If I'm not mistaken, that's his cousin. But anyways, or was that his brother, Salaki? Salaki. I gotta, because I don't want to be saying that. Right. Oh, his nephew. Okay. All right. So Lot was Abraham's nephew, right? Abraham was Lot's uncle. Okay, so Salaki. Hey, certain little small things slip. But anyways, what I want. Hold on. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to I hope this don't stretch out too long. Go back to Genesis 12, right? Because what? All right, so I'm gonna finish this out, so we can see how it turned out. Genesis 12:13, it says, "Say, I pray thee, thou art my sister, that it may be well with me for thy sake, and my soul shall live because of thee. And it came to pass that when Abram was come into Egypt, the Egyptians beheld the woman, that she was very fair," meaning she was pretty as hell. "The princes also of Pharaoh saw her and commended her before Pharaoh, and the woman was taken into Pharaoh's house. And he entreated Abram well for her sake, and he had sheep and oxen, and he asses and men servants and maid servants and she asses and camels. And the Lord plagued Pharaoh and his house with great plagues because of Sarah, Abram's wife. And Pharaoh called Abram and said, What is this that thou hast done unto me? Why didst thou not tell me that she was thy wife? Why saidst thou, she is my sister, so I might have taken her to me to wife? Now therefore, behold, thy wife, take her and go thy way. And Pharaoh commanded his men concerning him, and they sent him away, and his wife, and all that he had." Right. So in the ancient days, it was known. It was a known thing, right? You don't fuck with another man's wife, right? Even the Egyptians knew. Even the Egyptians knew you don't fuck with another man's wife, right? But what? The point being that the reason why the Lord plagued the Egyptians was because the Lord was not having the Egyptians to take on Abraham's wife as their own. He was not about to have that. But the Lord, right? This is a perfect example showing how if the Lord didn't intervene, right, then our forefather Abraham, Jake, right, he showed himself to be weak, and the Lord showed his power through his weakness, right. So you get the point. Lord willing, you'll get the point. So he wasn't a coward, right? Abraham was courageous. If he wasn't courageous, then he wouldn't have went to war for his family, right? And when he went to war, Lot was taken, his nephew was taken hostage. He went to war, and that's Jake, right? We're not as tough. We're not really that tough, but we can become that tough, especially when it's for our family, when it's for the right cause, right? And really, that's the greatest encouragement or inspiration to go to war or to resort to violence, to lay a life down for your family, right? So let me go to 20. Salakia, this is Genesis 20. This is Genesis 20. It says Abraham's treachery. And Abram's journey from thence toward the south country, and dwelt between Kadesh and Shur, and sojourned in Gerar. So this was part of the things that Abraham went through before having his son Isaac, right? This is a part of Abraham's story. Verse 2, it says, and Abraham said of Sarah his wife, she is my sister, and Abimelech, king of Gerar, sent and took Sarah, but Yahweh came to Abimelech in a dream by night and said to him, behold, thou art but a dead man for the woman which thou hast taken, for she is a man's wife, right? But Abimelech had not come near her, and he said, Lord, wilt thou slay also a righteous nation? Said he not unto me, she is my sister. So he said, look, you gonna kill me for nothing, right? If he would have told me she was his sister, then right. And he said, Lord, wilt thou slay also a righteous nation? Said he not unto me, she is my sister. And she even herself said, he is my brother. In the integrity of my heart and innocency of my hands have I done this. And Yahweh said unto him in a dream, yea, I know that thou didst this in the integrity of thy heart, for I also withheld thee from sinning against me, therefore suffered I thee not to touch her. Now therefore restore the man his wife, for he is a prophet, and he shall pray for thee, and thou shalt live. And if thou restore her not, know thou that thou shalt surely die, thou and all that are thine. So the Lord do not play about his men. The Lord do not play about his nation. The Lord do not play about his men, right? And the Lord knew what plans he had for Abraham and Sarah, right? To bring about Isaac, right? And Isaac to bring about Jacob. So the Lord was not having that, right? He said, I'm going to put you to death and everything that you own. So, right, the Lord is the tough God, right? And the only way we will be tough, we can be tough, is when we are connected with our power when we're praying and fasting to Yahweh Shem Shai, man, and doing that which is pleasing to Yahweh Shem Shai. Which these other camps who into protesting and debates, right, and not calling on the true names of the Lord and His only begotten Son, right, scoffing and talking shit against the true prophets, the true men of the Lord, which are primarily coming out of Great Millstone, right? They are selling wolf tickets. They gonna be proven to be paper tigers, right? Pump faking and marching and carrying weapons and all that shit, and looking down and talking shit on the real prophets because they're using wisdom and following the commandments, right? The scriptures following protocol. The scriptures say, "Wait ye upon me," right? For his roughly paraphrasing, "Wait ye upon me, for is my determination to gather the nations," right? For vengeance is mine. All of that, right? So, like Apostle Gabar said, right? Trust and believe me. When the time comes, the men of the Lord, the true prophets, they are going to be as ruthless as they need to be. And matter of fact, we won't be mad enough. The Lord is going to have to pour out His anger and give us spiritual powers in order to execute His vengeance perfectly. So we could play tough all we want, but in our reality, we will not be delivered. We cannot take Esau's blessing, which is the sword, and free ourselves from the hands of our enemies, right? The kingdom of heaven will not come from us taking matters into our own hands, unifying, right? Having unity camps and grabbing up weapons and going to war and getting carnal with these fucking devils. It is not going to happen. The Lord will not allow that to happen. And you testing and tempting the Lord, right, and asking Him to put you to death in our reality, because what you trying to do is trying to take the glory of the Heavenly Father, right, and His only begotten Son. So anyways, so right, that was Abraham. Right, now let's go to Jacob. Let's go to Jacob, right? Like I said, Abraham had Isaac, and Isaac had Jacob, right? So this is all the bloodline and family line of each and every last one of you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians. This is Genesis 25. This is just lucky. Genesis 25 and 27. It says, and the boys grew, talking about Jacob and Esau, right? And the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field, and Jacob was a plain man, dwelling in tents. Right? So, Jacob was not an aggressive man. Jacob was, he was a simple man, and he liked to stay in the house, right? Which is the true nature of, Jake, the true nature of each and every last one of, the Israelites that's on the face of the earth today, that are in their right spirit and not under the vibration of these devils, man, in this wicked and violent earth. So what I want, hold on, let me see. Damn. Right. So, right, let's get some different translations. In NKJV, right, it says, but Jacob was a mild man, dwelling in tents. NLT, it says, but Jacob had a quiet temperament, preferring to stay at home, right? And the scripture commands us to be temperate in all things, meaning have control over your temper, over your emotions, right? And like the Apostle Gabar brought out, right? If it be at, be at peace with all men, if it be possible, right? What was the other one he quoted? Be as wise as serpents and as harmless as doves, right? So not only is this the true nature of Jake, going back to our forefathers, we are commanded to stay in that original and pure spirit that the Lord gave us, right? As Israelites. ESV. When the boys grew up, Esau was a skillful hunter, a man of the field, while Jacob was a quiet man, dwelling in tents, right? And so, what's that nigga that got killed? What the fuck is his name? Mo 3, I think. I forget where he's from, right? But he got gunned down violently, right? And before he was killed, one of the songs that made him famous was "They Scared to Come Outside," right? And so this world of Israelites, niggas, right, promotes the mentality of being a tough guy, right? Being ready and wanting to engage in violence, right? Matter of fact, it's promoted to be as tough as you can be, kill as many people as you can, beat as many people up as you can, so that you can have, a good reputation, right? To be a real nigga or a solid nigga or whatever the fuck, right? Bunch of fucking foolishness, buffoonery, right? Niggerism. And to they teach us to go against our true nature, which is to be a simple man, non-complicated man, and stay in the house, right? You're looked at as a coward if you don't want to run the streets, if you don't, you're looked at as a coward if you pick your battles wisely. You're considered a punk, right? And all of those things. But that's against our nation, the nature, the true nature of our nation. And I'm proving that. Quiet man stayed at home. I don't know what this translation is, but for edification's sake, it says, but Jacob, and it says NASB 20, it says, but Jacob was a civilized man living in tents, right? And the opposite of being civilized is to be a savage, to be uncivilized, right? To be a wild man, right? Niggas always wilding, right? The scriptures say they are like wild bulls in a net, right? They on the head of the corner. Speaking about, how due to the curses, our nation has, the character of our nation has changed due to the curses being on us. And NASB 95, it says, but Jacob was a peaceful man living in tents, right? It says it again, LSB, peaceful man, right? So even tempered. So, right, that's the nature, the original nature of our nation, to be quiet, to be temperate, to be peaceful, to be plain, right? Not doing too much. Okay, so from there, right, I want to go to Deuteronomy real quick. This is Deuteronomy chapter 28, getting into the blessings and the curses, right? But the one that I want to focus on is, hold on. And you can't tell me when you're going over the curses alone that we are not the nation of Israel, man, because the curses fit our people to the T. Even the blessings, because our people, like to refer to ourselves as kings and rulers, right? And it's like we accept that mentality, even though we at the bottom of the bottom, we fucked up in the hood, strung out on drugs and living in poverty, right? We recognize that the way that we carry ourselves, that we have a certain strength and king-like mentality to us. The way that we carry ourselves, even though we at the bottom, we still manage to keep a smile on our face. We still manage to show care for one another, right? So and Deuteronomy 28, right, shows us, right, the blessings of the nature, the character of our nation if we keep the laws, right, which is to be rulers and we're all nations under under our control. But without keeping the law, statutes, commandments, we would be in a state of being cursed with our enemy nations ruling over us, and us suffering and being showing different characteristics than what was originally given to us by Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. Salakia. Deuteronomy 28 verse, where is it? Okay, here it is. Deuteronomy 28 verse 54. It says, so that the man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eyes shall be evil toward his brother and toward his wife, toward the wife of his bosom, and toward the remnant of his children, which he shall leave. Right? So the point being that originally the nature of our nation is to be tender and very delicate, right? To have a great care for our people, right? To bend over backwards, to go the extra mile, to help and exhort one another, right? Verse 56, the tender and delicate woman among you, which would not adventure to set the sole of her foot upon the ground for delicateness and tenderness, her eyes shall be evil toward the husband of her bosom, and toward her son, and toward her daughter, right? So this is the reason why we are so violent. This is the reason, brothers call it the evil eye. This is the reason why there's so much tension, and we always fighting and being violent with one another, is because not because this is our true nature, it's because we have curses on us from breaking the law, statutes, and commandments. But even the women of our nation who tend to come off as more aggressive than the men, right? Always in the fights, baddies and all this, right? Bad Girls Club and all this other shit, right? Our women originally is so tender and delicate that they wouldn't even walk on the ground without having a red carpet rolled out for them, so to speak. Flowers laid out for them before they walk. Make sure that that the path that they will walk on will be tender to their feet. Because they're so delicate. We took so great care of the women of our nation that our women wasn't going to war. They weren't nowhere near in this aggressive spirit and fighting. Our women was not known for going to war, man. The woman's nature originally is to not be built for any type of combat, right? And so, her feet would be soft and not rough. So again, Jake is not as tough as they appear, right? Where I want to go from there. Back to Jacob. This is Genesis 27. After, due to Esau being carnal and not being spiritual and understanding the benefits of being spiritual and knowing what his birthright was in order to get the blessing that was given to Jacob instead of Esau, right? Jacob being able to get the blessing that was supposed to go to Esau, but due to Jacob being spiritual and being a supplanter, ultimately it being the Lord's will for things to play out the way that it played out. That's why, when you read that, going back to Genesis 25, and how before they was born, how it said one man of people will be stronger than the other. The elders shall serve the younger, which the elder was Esau, and the younger was Jacob. And in the kingdom of heaven, when Yahweh shall make his second return, that's when the elder nation, which is the nation of so-called white man, Esau, Edom, will serve the younger nation, which is you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native American Indians, the 12 tribes of Israel. And the kingdom of heaven is when that prophecy will be fulfilled. Genesis 27, right? What I wanted to get. Okay. Okay, this is Genesis 27, verse 41. It says, and Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then will I slay my brother Jacob. So Esau wanted to kill Jacob, right? He was a murderer from the beginning, right? And then the scriptures say, ye are of your father the devil, which is 2/3 of our people, in the spirit of Esau, Edom, which is the devil in the flesh, right? Him being the nature, his original nature being a murderer and a liar, a deceiver. Esau wanted to kill his brother Jacob because the Lord set it up to where as though Jacob was given the blessing that Esau was supposed to get, because of his birthright being the firstborn son. Verse 42, it says, and these words of Esau, her elder son, were told to Rebekah, and she sent and called Jacob, her younger son, and said unto him, behold, thy brother Esau, as touching thee, do comfort himself, purposing to kill thee. Now therefore, my son, obey my voice and arise, flee to Laban, my brother, to Haran, and tarry with him a few days until thy brother's fury turn away, until thy brother's anger, right? So, Salakia, niggas being niggas, racing and shit. So what wound up happening was, Jacob didn't get tough like my brother wanna kill me. I ain't do nothing. He should have been spiritual. Nah, fuck that. I ain't going nowhere, mom. I'm gonna fuck Esau up. And if I got to, I'm gonna kill his ass. He didn't take on that spirit. He fled. He left. He ran away. And there's multiple accounts where our ancestors ran from danger, or ran from the threat of being killed. Right? So from there, I want to go to, hold on. See, Jacob is sent away. Hold on. Jacob meets Rachel. Okay. Hold up. Jacob prospers. All right, I think it's the next chapter. I just want to grab the point. Okay, hold on. All right. Jacob fear of Esau, right? It says, and Jacob went on his way, and the angels of Yahweh met him. And when Jacob saw them, he said, this is Yahweh's host. And he called the name of that place Mahanaim. Salaki, if I'm pronouncing it wrong. It says, and Jacob sent messages before him to Esau, his brother, unto the land of Seir, the country of Edom. So this was the first time since Esau wanted to kill him and he fled away from him. This is the first time that they met up. Now we're going to see how Jacob dealt with Esau, right? First of all, it said he sent messages to go ahead of him, right, to Esau. It says, verse 4, it says, and he commanded them, saying, thus shall ye speak unto my Lord Esau. He even went out his way to call his brother Lord, right? Which is to humble yourself in the sight or the presence of another person, right? Speak unto my Lord Esau, because what? Esau was his older brother, and it's only right in his wisdom to give your older brother that level of respect, right? And humble yourself before, right? And that's the original nature of Jake, to be respectable, right? To respect your elders, right? To be in order, to respect the order, right? And respect those that were born before you, right? To have manners, right? A little manners will take you a long way, and a little disrespect in your life quickly. That's just some wisdom. So it says, and he commanded them, saying, thus shall ye speak unto my Lord Esau, thy servant Jacob saith thus, I have sojourned with Laban and stayed there until now. I have oxen and asses, flocks and men servants and women servants, and I have sent to tell my Lord that I may find grace in thy sight. Right? So Jacob was, he was being humble and basically trying to test and make sure he was trying to win over his brother, and to see, make sure he didn't want to kill him anymore, right? It says, now he would be considered a coward for this. It says, and the messengers returned to Jacob, saying, we came to thy brother Esau, and also he cometh to meet thee, and 400 men with him. Then Jacob was greatly afraid and distressed, and he divided the people that was with him, and the flocks and herds and the camels, into 2 bands, and said, if Esau come to one company and smite it, then the other company which is left shall escape And Jacob said, O Yahweh of my father Abraham and Yahweh of my father Isaac, the Lord which said unto me, return unto thy country and to thy kindred, and I will deal with thee. I am not worthy of the least of all the mercies and of all the truth which thou hast showed unto thy servant. He went and prayed, right? He was so worried about getting into it with his brother, right? He went and prayed to the Lord, showing you, right, where our strength lies, right? Because first of all, he was only returning to going back home because the Lord had told him to do it, right? And you know, without the Lord, he didn't have the courage to do so, right? And or he was respectable enough, you know, he didn't want to get into it with his brother. He didn't want to have to be tempted to putting his brother to death, right? Whatever. And so he went and prayed to the Lord for strength. It says, verse 10, I am not worthy of the least of all mercies and of all the truth which thou hast showed unto thy servant. For with my staff I passed over this Jordan, and now I am become two bands. Deliver me, I pray thee, from the hand of my brother, from the hand of Esau, for I fear him, lest he will come and smite me and the mother with the children. So when you read the account yourself, everything worked out. The Lord had it to where as though they made peace or whatever. And but just to show you the original nature of our nation, you know, non-confrontational, wanting to be at peace, you know, before we go to war, right? And that's how our brothers, the North American Indians, the Gadites, right, and the Reubenites were conquered. That's how Esau was able to steal this land from our ancestors, because they broke, they came to a peace treaty. You know, our people was looking to be at peace with these devils, right? And these devils betrayed us. So that's that, right? Now I wanted to grab it, but I'll just quote it in first. I think it's 1 Samuel, 2 Samuel, the account with David and Saul, right? David, you know, he was a mighty man, right? But if you remember, or if you recall, he was a plain man, right? He was a keeper of sheep, right? He was a shepherd, right? He wasn't known for going to war, but and so when he stood up against Goliath, you know, no one expected for him to prevail and win against Goliath. Everybody else was scared, you know, but he was filled up with the spirit and power of the Heavenly Father, right? He faced his fears. He became courageous, and he killed Goliath with a slingshot and a rock, and he became a mighty warrior. So it's always in us to become courageous and become warriors, but originally we are tender and delicate. We are not as tough as we appear to be, you know, nowadays. Now with Saul and David, right? Saul wanted to kill David because the Lord made him king next, right? And the Lord told Saul he wasn't dealing with him. And Saul wanted to kill David. Saul was jealous because David was becoming to be more mightier. You know, he was, they would say, after Saul would go to war, he'd say he killed hundreds of hundreds or thousands of thousands, something like that. But with David, when he'd come back from war, to be like, oh, David killed hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands, whatever, more than Saul killed. And he would become jealous or whatever. He became real bitter because he knew the Lord wasn't dealing with him and the Lord was dealing with David. Saul wanted to kill David, and even though David was a mighty man, he was ducking smoke, man. He was avoiding Saul every chance that he would get. Even when the Lord delivered Saul into David's hands, and the Lord basically said to David, look, man, you do whatever you want to do. If you kill him, right? He didn't say this, but if David would have killed Saul, the Lord wouldn't have tripped about it, right? But David still had so much respect for Saul that that being our original nature and spirit as Israelites, he gave Saul a pass every single time, and he felt like he would have been going off if he would even entertained the thought of coming up against Saul. So Lord willing, that was edifying, right? I think that's everything that I had in mind. Right. So I showed 3 examples of Jake not being as tough as they appear, right? With Abraham, with Jacob, right? And I didn't bring it out, but I spoke about it with David and Saul. So, Lord willing, that was edifying, right? Call all Yahweh Bashem, Al Shai Bashem, Rakakodash.